Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Aradhana and today I'm here with the part 3 of William J. Long's History of English Literature, and today we are going to cover the chapter 3 of this book, which is Anglo-Norman period, and because this chapter is really long, this video might be broken into 2 parts, and if I do so, I'll notify you. Before I start with the video, let me tell you that I have made 2 videos on this book, which is the chapter 1 and chapter 2 of this book, and today I'm going to start with chapter 3. So if you haven't checked them out, you should definitely check them out first and then watch this video. Now without any further ado, let's get into today's video. So in the last video, we saw that Alfred, who was one of the most important Anglo-Saxon king, laid emphasis on the literary development of his kingdom and of his people, and how Saxon Chronicle, which was a prose work, came into being. And this is the kind of development that happened after Alfred as well. And now we have come to a point where England has to be invaded by these Normans. Now, one of the most important thing you must know about Normans is that Norman is a word which came from the term Northmen, because these people came from the north side. And okay, this is kind of a transition word that came into being after these French locals used to call them Northmen because they came from the direction of the north. Okay, according to their place, and this Northman transitioned into the word Norman, and this is why this period is called as Anglo-Norman Age. Okay, so I think that is clear. Now there are a lot of words that could be used in place of Norman depending on the book you are reading. They are also called as the Scandinavians or the Vikings. That is the most common and very famous term that is used for these Norman people. And these people are also called children of Wooden. And so now these Normans came from the original Scandinavia. Okay, so now first of all, let's talk about the invasion of these Normans in England. These Normans invaded England in 911, and the King of France was Charles, that is the present King of England, and the Viking leader Rollo. There was a negotiation that took place between the two of them, and the north part of their kingdom was assigned to them, that was given to them, and it was called as Normandy from Norman people. Okay, there is a transition of this word, and this area came to be known as Normandy, where these Norman people had their own little kingdom. Now, one of the most interesting thing about these Norman people is that they were kind of very adaptable towards all the French culture. They learned the French language and their culture. They kind of adopted all those things into them, and also kept their chivalric, powerful and centralized military intact. And this was kind of one of the most important thing that made them much more powerful than these French kingdom. Now, on top of this, they also adopted Christianity, and they converted from paganism to Christianity, and they also kind of became very intellectual because of the the literary works that they read, and the kind of French culture that they came into contact with. So in a way you can say that they became much more powerful and much more polished than the existing kingdom of England. Now what happens is that Edward, the Anglo-Saxon king, dies childless, and this is that moment these Anglo-Saxons has been waiting for years. Okay, because they were kind of, their last plan is to capture the whole of this Anglo-Saxon kingdom, and this is the moment, this is their moment, and they have to capture this whole Anglo-Saxon kingdom. Now after the death of Edward, Harold becomes the last Anglo-Saxon king, but at that point in time the Viking leader was William, and he says that हमारे तो दूर के रिश्तेदार लगते थे एडवर्ड भैया. So now I am also an indirect candidate to the throne, and because you are also not directly related to him, and I was also indirectly related to him, so that's why I am also a candidate. So yeah, a battle takes place between the two of them, which is called the Battle of Hastings, and needless to say, William wins the battle because centralized government, blah blah blah, and he is declared as William the Conqueror. This is how these Normans captured the whole of Anglo-Saxon kingdom, and now this is officially the Anglo-Norman Age. So there are a lot of changes that took place in this Anglo-Saxon kingdom after the advent of Normans. One of the most important of those is the national idea. That is kind of, nationalism was lacking in these English people because there were divisions in the society. There were these high class people and the lower class people. These upper class people used to speak French language, even the languages were different, right? And these common people, that is the middle class people, or they used to speak in English only. But what happened after the coming of these Normans is that this kind of language, they mixed up together and they became this English language, and that is why we see that most of the English words have their origins in the French language. This is the only reason why is it so. Now besides this idea of nationalism and this centralized type of government, they also brought with them this adaptability. As I told you earlier, that they kind of absorbed all this French culture into themselves. Okay, so when they kind of captured the whole of Anglo-Saxon kingdom, they centralize this language as well. This language, the French and the English, which was the language of the upper class and the lower class, this mixed, and that is what resulted in the formation of the basic formation of English as we know today. So yeah, this was the basic history of the Anglo-Norman age and how the English as we know today came into being, and how these Anglo-Norman people were one of the most important factors who contributed in making it so. Now let's talk about the literature of the Anglo-Norman age. Now, so one of the most important thing you need to keep in mind about the literature of Anglo-Norman age is that it's not like English has formed during this period, so everybody is going to write in English suddenly. Okay, this is not going to happen, because there has to be a transition period. This is the transition period of French to English. Okay, so it does not happen in one day. It is in a course of 300 years, which is the Anglo-Norman age. It kind of slowly and gradually transformed from French to English to the proper English as we know today. Okay, so all the literature that we get from the Anglo-Norman age, this is in a lot of languages. For example, in Latin, in their French language, and then when you come to the later parts of the Anglo-Norman age, it has come to the point of being in a proper, not proper, but kind of a very rough part of English, and it is going to be polished in the time of Chaucer, which is the next period after the Anglo-Norman age. Now in my notes I have written a lot of Latin works that were composed during this period, but I don't think so those are that important, but I have included them in my notes, so you can just write them down now. So yeah, that was the history of the Anglo-Norman age, and I'm going to cover all the important literary works of this period in the next video. So yeah, wait for that video and I'll meet you in the next one. Till then, if you haven't subscribed, then do subscribe my channel so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. So yeah, I'll meet you in the next video. Till then, bye bye.